I mean, look, it's not great. I've actually been getting DMs. I'm glad that I've become like the hype man for like the get angry, let them have it. Like people are like, I can't wait to hear you rip them to shreds. Like I don't think I'm that guy, but apparently I'm being received as that guy all of a sudden. There's so much to talk about this morning with where they're at, and none of it is good. I mean, really, almost none of it is good. And Anthony, I guess my question to you off the top, in the spirit of trying to do something a little bit different, I've heard some of the conversations on the radio this morning. Let me just ask you this. It seems to me like people in this city are kind of over this team. And when I say over this team, not just doubting its ability to win and win in October, but maybe a little bit over each of these players and some of their shortcomings on an individual basis. And I uttered the phrase last week, familiarity breeds contempt. And do you think that this really is a matter of people are just sort of over some of these guys on an individual basis? Or do you think it's more of an assessment that this team just isn't good enough?
I think that there's a lot that goes in. It's kind of a heavy question, right? I mean, I think that there's a lot of reasons that people feel that way or feel a certain way about players. I do think that we're in a generation where people want constant change. They don't want the same thing over and over again, even if it's successful. They want change. So I think part of it is that it's a shorter leash now than it ever was before. So I do think that's part of it. But I do think that, that when things go bad, you see that it's the same culprits that are at play. And you can sit there and go, all right, I've had enough of this guy. Even if that guy kind of turns it around and has a good run. And I think like a perfect example of that is a guy like Alec Bohm, right? Who the fans in this city have had a on again, off again relationship with for various reasons, and deservedly so in some spots. The guy got off to a terrible start. First 2 weeks of the season, he was awful. But then the next 6 weeks, he was really good. And you kind of meandered through it, kind of waiting for the next downturn. And he might be in the midst of that next downturn. And now you're right back to where you were in the first 2 weeks of the season. Just because again, like you said, the familiarity breeds contempt. It's like, well, we've seen this before. And I think that kind of thing is what happens. And
I will tell you, I mean, I will say this. I've gotten to a point and you're starting to look at the statistics across the board and guys underperforming left and right, and nobody can seem to step up in a big moment and deliver. I watched the game yesterday. You get to the ninth inning, they walk Schwarber, and you're putting the go-ahead run on base in the ninth inning to get to the team's cleanup hitter. Like it's so disrespectful, but it was the obvious baseball move if you're the Pirates. And what does this guy do? He comes up and he does exactly what everybody in the tri-state area who was watching the game expected him to do, which was hit into a double play. And not only does he hit into a double play, but he does it on the first pitch. Like it is just a microcosm of what he is, his inability to deliver in big spots, his inability to be the player that this team needs him to be the middle of the order presence as a corner infield bat. Like it just doesn't play. And we've talked about this a lot over the last week and a half about the fits. And is it really about the individual player, or is it more about how all of these guys and their flaws, their shortcomings all fit together, which exacerbates this frustration and this feeling like, man, it isn't good enough. And the most obvious part of the equation is that it's the same team as last year. And there's been a lot of disappointment that this team carries. They've delivered in stretches in October. They've given us a lot of good moments, but the net result at the end is always disappointment. This is a problem. Like I'll just go back here now and I'll give you some stats to kind of start the conversation. Since May 30th, when this stretch began, they are as a team 29th in slugging. We lauded them for their on-base percentage. Well, they don't always deliver with runners in scoring position, but man, they get on base. They're dead last in on-base percentage since the start of the Milwaukee series. They're 30th in batting average, dead last. 29th in OPS. Now, zoom out. Nobody wants to hear big picture. You're still talking about a team that's 9 games over 500. You're still talking about a team that is very much in the playoff mix. They're still 9th in runs per game this season, and they're still 10th in OPS, which almost is impossible to believe that. I mean, that feels impossible.
It shows you the state of the game, right? I mean, that's not just about the Phillies. It's the state of the sport right now.
So here, though, on an individual basis, like when you say, like, man, this team really lacks punch, like, how about all the people that were like, you can't live and die by the home run? I'd much rather live by the home run. Hit some home runs. Like, let's get hot for 4 games and hit 10 home runs and feel a little bit better about this rather than slap here, slap there, feeble ground out, strikeout. Like, give me something. This team feels boring and feels lifeless and feels like they're checked out because they don't have any thump. They have no excitement. They have no true, energy in terms of like game changers in this lineup. Like when Harper isn't Harper or Harper's shelved again and Kyle Schwarber is kind of feeling his way through it. Like this team is absolutely inept offensively. I mean, look at this, man. Schwarber, 928 OPS. Harper, 814. Fine, whatever. Turner, 800. I'm not going to complain about Trey Turner offensively. Castellanos, 744. The league average OPS this season, 711, I believe I heard earlier today.
Yeah.
So 686. Boom, 685. Kepler, 660. Real Muto, 647. Stott, 641. Brandon Marsh, 638. Johan Rojas, 629. And then, oh, by the way, like, let's do the platoon thing, right? We got to get our platoons going. Wes Wilson, 524. And this is awful. I mean, this is truly awful. I know it's hard to hit in 2025, and the state of the sport offensively is down, but this is pathetic. This is absolutely pathetic.